All right, today we are jumping into an ancient book that holds a central and, honestly, a baffling mystery. We're talking about the Book of Daniel. It's packed with history, personal stories, and prophecies so jaw-droppingly accurate that they make you question everything you think you know about time itself. So let's just cut right to the chase. The question this book forces on us is huge. Is it actually possible to write history before it happens? I mean, think about that. The Book of Daniel makes this incredible claim, and you can bet people have been arguing about it for thousands of years. And this is the heart of the whole debate. The predictions in this book, especially the ones about the rise of the Greek Empire, are so spot on, so detailed, that a lot of very smart people have said, no way, there's just no way. Their only conclusion? This wasn't a prophecy at all. It had to have been written after the fact, pretending to be a prediction. And that's the puzzle we're going to try and crack today. Now, to really get this book, we have to understand the guy who wrote it. So let's go back in time, way back to the 6th century BC. We're going to meet Daniel, but not as some famous prophet. We're meeting him as a teenager whose entire world is about to be completely flipped upside down. Just try to imagine this for a second. You're, 15, maybe 16 years old? An invading army rolls into your town, and you get ripped from your home and dragged off to the capital city of the empire that just crushed your people. You're in Babylon. The language, the food, the gods, the whole culture, it's completely foreign. This isn't just moving to a new city, it's like landing on another planet. And this really gets at the core difference between where Daniel came from and where he ended up. Daniel's world was built on this idea of one single all-powerful creator God, a God who exists totally outside of and separate from the physical universe. But Babylon, their whole worldview was the polar opposite. They had tons of gods, they were polytheistic, but the really crucial part is that they didn't believe their gods were the source of everything. And what's wild is that this ancient Babylonian way of thinking, well, it has a surprisingly modern echo. To see what I mean, we need to look at their origin story, which all starts with a concept called Theogony. So you've probably heard of a cosmogony. That's the origin story of the cosmos, the universe. Well, a theogony is the origin story of the gods themselves. See, the Babylonians didn't think their gods were eternal. Nope, they believed the gods actually came from somewhere. So here's how they thought it all went down. First, there was just this pre-existing stuff, this primeval matter. Then, out of that matter, the gods sort of emerged. And only after that did the gods get around to forming the rest of the universe. The big takeaway here is that for them, matter is the ultimate reality. It's the source of everything, even the gods. Okay, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds like some dusty ancient myth, right? But just hang on, because this line of thinking is going to sound eerily familiar. Look at these ideas. The belief that the basic forces of nature, gravity and electromagnetism, are what really run the show. The idea that matter itself can be creative, that it can generate complexity on its own. Or that some kind of superhuman intelligence isn't supernatural, it's just something that can evolve out of matter over time. It's basically a materialistic worldview, the exact same kind of thinking Daniel was dropped into 2,500 years ago. So Daniel finds himself stuck in the middle of this massive, powerful, materialistic culture. And what does he do? He writes a book. But this isn't just some random collection of stories and visions. Oh no. It is an absolute work of literary genius with a kind of hidden structure that unlocks the whole thing. If you've ever tried to read Daniel straight through, you might have noticed it's a little confusing. Some of the events in chapters 7 and 8 actually happen before the story in chapter 6. So it's definitely not organized by time. And you can't just split it down the middle like, here are the stories, here are the prophecies, because they're all mixed together. So what is going on? How is this thing organized? Okay, check this out, because it is brilliant. The book is structured like a mirror. The entire first half reflects the second half. So chapter 1, which is a story about government administration in Babylon, boom, it's paired with chapter 6, another administrative story, but this time in Medo-Persia. Then you have chapters 2 and 3, which are all about 2 images, and they're paired with chapters 7 and 8, which are about 2 visions of animals. And finally, chapters 4 and 5, about 2 kings getting disciplined, they mirror chapter 9, which explains 2 important writings. It's perfect. I mean, come on, this is clearly not an accident. This kind of intricate, symmetrical design shows us that every single story, every vision, was put in its exact place for a reason. This isn't just a book. It's a carefully constructed masterpiece, designed to get a huge idea across. So why does this brilliant structure matter? Well, it all points back to the book's central argument about what history even is. And that argument kicks off in the very first two verses. It's right here, hiding in plain sight. The first sentence is just straight up history. Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, conquered Jerusalem. Simple enough. But then look at that next phrase, and the Lord gave. This offers a completely different way of looking at that exact same event. It wasn't just about Babylon's army. You know, the standard way of looking at history, you could call it historical Darwinism, is just that the big, powerful nation crushes the smaller, weaker one. It's survival of the fittest, but for countries. But Daniel's claim turns that on its head. He's saying that even in this moment of total and complete defeat for his people, a sovereign God was still pulling the strings, still in control of what was happening. So when you put it all together, Daniel's personal story, these impossibly accurate prophecies, and the book's breathtaking literary design, you realize they're all working together. They're all building a single, cohesive case, all pointing the reader toward one monumental idea. And that's really what this whole thing boils down to. The book of Daniel isn't just asking if we can predict the future, it's making a much, much bigger claim. That history isn't just one random thing after another, but that it's actually a story with an author. And it leaves us with the ultimate question we have to wrestle with. Is God really in control of history?